The laughter started before I took my coat off. Not warm laughter, not joy, the kind that sharpens when it sees blood in the water. I stood in the doorway while my mother's eyes skimmed me, assessing the coat, the shoes, the absence of success. My sister didn't even look up. She was holding court, wine glass raised, basking in praise for becoming a CEO at 29, 300,000 a year. They clapped for her like she'd cured cancer. Someone whispered, "At least she made something of herself." Someone else said my name like an apology. I smiled, soft, grateful, small. I wanted to see how they treat someone they believe is poor, so I let them. I didn't always plan to disappear into their assumptions. Once, I used to talk too much about ideas, about systems, about the future. They called me naive, said I chased concepts instead of stability. When I stopped explaining, they decided I'd failed. They didn't know I'd built quietly, relentlessly. They didn't know my name never appeared because I designed it that way. Shells, trusts, proxies, patience. By the time they stopped asking about my career, I owned cities in pieces, infrastructure, data, energy, logistics, an empire that didn't need applause. But families don't celebrate silence, they punish it. So when the Christmas Eve invitation arrived, formal, strategic, I understood immediately. This wasn't reconciliation, this was theater. They wanted contrast, they wanted a winner and a cautionary tale. I RSVP'd yes. The red flags were dressed as kindness. My aunt handed me a cheap glass of wine and said, "It's okay, not everyone needs ambition." My cousin asked if I was still figuring things out. My sister smiled at me like a charity project. I kept my posture soft, eyes down, apologetic nods. I watched how fast respect evaporates when people think you have nothing to offer. That's when I noticed the folder on the sideboard. Manila, thick, familiar logos. My sister's company, my company. I felt the shift before the pain, the calm before the calculation. They hadn't just invited me to humiliate me, they'd stolen from me. My sister's meteoric rise wasn't talent, it was access. Contracts rerouted, data siphoned, a board seat handed to her through a consulting firm I secretly owned, one she'd never bothered to research. She'd built her success on my scaffolding, and my family knew. They toasted her, knowing exactly where the money came from. I didn't cry. I didn't confront. I adjusted my breathing and started planning. I let dinner continue. I let the jokes land. I let the comparisons cut. I excused myself once, just once, to upload the final authorization from my phone. Board votes, audit triggers, legal notifications queued like dominoes. Silence isn't weakness, it's staging. By dessert, the room was glowing with confidence. That's when I stood. "I'm proud of you," I said to my sister. She beamed. "I really am," I continued, calm as snowfall, "especially for what you built using my assets." The room froze. I reached into my bag, not dramatic, just deliberate, and placed my phone on the table. One tap. The screen mirrored to the TV. Charts, ownership structures, dates, emails. My mother's face collapsed first. I didn't raise my voice. "I own the majority stake in the firm funding your company. I own the logistics network you lease. I own the data platform you call proprietary." I looked around the table. I've owned it for years. My sister laughed once, sharp, panicked. "That's not funny." "I agree," I said, "which is why the board meeting started 10 minutes ago." Her phone buzzed, then buzzed again. Color drained from her face. I continued, almost gently. "Unauthorized use of assets, breach of fiduciary duty, Fraud. I finally looked at my parents. You invited me here to be small, I said. I came to be precise. They didn't yell. They couldn't. The house felt hollow as consequences arrived in real time. My sister sank into her chair, staring at a future unraveling faster than she could negotiate. I put my coat back on. At the door, I turned once. I wanted to know how you treat someone you think has nothing, I said. Now you know how I treat betrayal. I stepped into the cold, breathing freely for the first time that night. They'll remember Christmas Eve as the night everything broke. I remember it as the night I stopped pretending.